What's up, everyone? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where we're going to have lots of fun. And Craig did not forget to unmute his microphone before we started. Do you know what? I reminded myself twice to unmute it before I started, and then I got distracted. I thought to myself, hey Craig, write out the poll before you start the stream. That way you can save time and you won't look like a clown when you're on the stream with your one finger tapping. That backfired, I think it's fair to say, but hey, that's Anfield Agenda. That's what you get, the level of professionalism you get with me, ladies and gentlemen. If you leave me in charge of anything, it's going to go a bit Pete Tong. But look, I do have the poll written out, and I'm going to put it into the chat early doors, so you guys can have your say as the stream goes on. Look, it's a bit of fun. Nobody's trying to say that it's nailed on. No one's trying to say, start getting yourself a VINI Jr. or an MBAPPE shirt. But it is a point of conversation. So, quite simply, if you could sign one of these gentlemen for Liverpool, who would it be? Poll is in the chat. Have at it. And we leave that run throughout the stream, and we'll look back at it a little bit later on. So look, loads to get through tonight, including some shenanigans around the kickoff time for the League Cup final. We'll talk about that. Some more news on Liverpool's apparent interest in Crystal Palace's Mark Gay coming up in the summer transfer window. A little bit about the Money League and where Liverpool currently sit with regards to the revenue that we've generated over the past year or so. We'll look at the top earners in European football and a few other bits and pieces as always along the way. So look, are we good? I'm still honestly just... I must have read Rami Abbasissa's post now about 20 times, and I keep smiling every time I read it because I like that he's fired shots. I do. I like it. Right, my friends, how are we? Are we good this evening? I hope you're all well. I hope you're having a good day, whatever it is you've been doing up to now. I can't believe it's already 8:30. It feels like this day has flown along. So as we always do for the first few minutes, just say a few hellos and thank yous to everyone for joining us. Craig, I saw you the other day. You were looking for change in the shopping trolley outside Aldi. Shoelaces were undone. Yeah, see, that absolutely isn't me. One, I haven't been in the supermarket in at least 6 months. Two, I never carry cash, so I definitely wouldn't be looking for change. Three, there's no way in God's green earth my shoelaces will be undone. My shoelace game is on point. And that's probably it. That's probably all I have for you. But it definitely was not me outside of Aldi. I can confirm that one. Naman P, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my man. Is that true? Whoa, wow. Half time, Bournemouth 5, Swansea 0. Oh my days, that's ridiculous. 5-0 at half time. That's one hell of a whooping there for Swansea. Don't disrespect Craig's shoe game. Absolutely, Mike. You know, there's not much about me that I'll defend to the death, dude, but my trainer game is on point. If they're not Jordans, they're Air Max, or a pair of pretty classy Adidas. So yeah, my trainer game's on point. Who's better, John Aldridge or Dean Saunders? Oh, I like that question, Mr. Who. Who's better, John? Do you know what? Oh man. So I'm gonna. It's so tough for me to decide the answer to that. I'm going with Aldo. I'm sticking with my Irish international buddy, even though I've never met John Aldridge. I'm gonna go with Aldo. But I tell you what, I did rate Dean Saunders a lot. I think he was sold too early. Wasn't it Graham Souness that sold Dean Saunders, if my memory's right, to Aston Villa at that point? I did always enjoy Saunders at Liverpool, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Aldo because, well, I'm biased on it and I love John Aldridge. I'm not gonna apologise for it. I love the man. Right, Craig. Who chose that Shure microphone that you see? I think it's an SM7, a top class mic, expensive. Is it an SM7? Oh, I chose it. Adam has the same microphone. We make sure that we have consistency across it. So this is my end game microphone. I'll tell you my microphone game from the start. Started off with a Blue Snowball Ice. That was the first microphone I used. The multi-directional one, not the... No, it was a Blue Snowball. It wasn't the Ice. It was the Blue Snowball. So I had that. And then I upped my levels and I went to a... What was the next microphone I had? A Rode microphone. I had a Rode NT USB. And then I'll be really honest with you. I had a good win in the bookies. Well, not in the bookies, but I had a good win one day. I think I won about 400 quid, and I thought, I'm going to invest this in a microphone. So I went on and I got the Shure microphone. This one does both USB audio, and you can plug it in normally to a proper mixer and stuff. So well spotted. It's probably the lower end of the Shure range, because you can get up to spending really big money, 7, 8, 900 quid with Shure microphones, but they are the best brand, and I love it. I love the mic. It's very versatile. Good eye though, good spot. Snowball is a classic. It is. It's the best one to start off with, because they are so versatile, and it's a good entry level microphone. I got good use out of my Blue Snowball microphone, to be honest. Would I take Joshua Kimmich? 100% yes, Chris. 100% yes, my man. I just look at it this way, and I know you're probably sick of me saying the same thing, but it's my honest feeling on it. If you're going to lose Thiago Alcantara, which we are in the summer, replacing him in the squad with Joshua Kimmich for an almost alarmingly similar price tag would make me think, yeah, good business. But I don't know what Joshua Kimmich's future is going to be. Will it be Liverpool? Will it be Manchester City? Will something happen that he'll stay at Bayern? But as it currently stands, it looks like in the summer he'll be available for about 25 million quid. And I just think it's an astute piece of business to get that good mix of experience in midfield to replace Thiago. And I looked, Mark was kind enough to send me a link to his injury record, and it's minuscule. Joshua Kimmich has been pretty good over the past, I think we worked out over the past 2 or 3 seasons, he's missed like 20 days, and 5 of them were because of COVID or something like that. So yeah, I think he would bring experience, leadership, winning mentality that we've, kind of been spoiled and come accustomed to at Liverpool, whether it was James Milner or Thiago Alcantara. I think it's important that you have that experience in the dressing room. As much as we have great youngsters and good players who are playing really good at the minute, you can never have too much experience. So yeah, I would say yes, please. Unless he goes to Manchester City, in which case never wanted him anyway. Who would you replace in midfield? Nobody. Thiago, that's it. So if he came in, you'd have Joshua Kimmich, Stefan Bajcetic, Endo, McAllister, who could all play in that role. Now, the reason I think the link to Joshua Kimmich is very interesting is when we've talked about Trent and moving him into midfield, lots of times I've said, I don't think Trent could play the number 6 position on his own. I think if Trent ever went into midfield, he'd have to become part of a double pivot. And that's what intrigues me about the links to Kimmich. Is that going to be the way Klopp will think if he does move Trent into midfield? Will we end up playing something like a 4-2-1-3, something like that, or a 4-2-3-1 if he wants to change and put Darwin on his own, maybe through the centre? That intrigues me. See what way Klopp's thinking is, because if you're going to make these changes to system, it's usually best to do it in pre-season when you've got more time to work on it and everybody there with you. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the Joshua Kimmich and the whole Trent moving into midfield part. I wouldn't feel comfortable yet having him just as a 6. Best Liverpool content maker in the game, said Naman. Thank you. But we're the best because it's us, all of us together. The channel's not just about me. It's not about Connor. It's not about Ben. It's about the community. And I keep saying this. When people come in and join our community and watch the content, they'll talk about what they like, what they don't like, but they'll always talk about the chat. They'll always talk about how welcoming the community is and how friendly people are. And that is my proudest accomplishment of all of this. Hitting 250,000 would be awesome. But you guys are my proudest achievement of all of this. I love it. I love our community. So, to help us though, we are literally a handful away from getting 239,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. It only takes a second. Right, let's get into some newsy news. Right, so I did say I have a little bit of a heads up around the League Cup final and the kickoff time. Now, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but I'm going to give you my take on it as I always do. So, transfer sector, who, by the way, I've no vested interest in this account. I don't know who runs this account. I don't know anything about them. But I feel like a lot of stuff I've been sent from the guys that do some of the research and stuff for us has been credited back to this account. And it's a pretty damn good account. So whoever's running it, big up yourself. It's a great account. Definitely worth a follow if you are on social media. So, they say the League Cup final will likely be brought forward to no later than 3 p.m. at the request of the Metropolitan Police. Concerns are held that clashes between Liverpool and Chelsea fans may break out, with the match classed as high risk. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sorry, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of football fans being treated like Neanderthals, being treated like animals, being spoken about like nobody can be trusted to do anything. I'm sorry, do your damn job. You're the police, you're getting paid to police the games, do your damn job. Too many times this season I've seen Liverpool has to play Manchester City at 12:30 rather than 5:30 because we're worried about the fans, or this game has to be moved to there because of policing concerns. Sorry, football fans aren't all scum. And that's what... If you want to change the culture, if you want football to be like rugby or other, stop treating fans like animals. Stop talking about us like we're something you scraped off the end of your shoe. Football fans have dignity and class. Show it to them. Because nobody wants aggro. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to go and fight. There might be a small minority of it, but ban those assholes and let them stop giving the rest of us a bad name. I'm done with it. Every time it's like an easy get out of jail for the police. Oh, we don't want to work late, so let's just say we've got concerns about clashes of fans. And that means the game can't go ahead unless the police are there. They kind of have football by the short and curlies in this regard. And somebody needs to start speaking up for football fans and defending them. Because it doesn't happen in any other sport I'm aware of. It doesn't happen in any other entertainment. You don't go to a concert or whatever and be frog marched from the train station to the stadium, held in there and brought back out. Treat people with dignity and class. And if you need to work with the vested interests, work with supporters clubs, work with the football clubs, talk to people instead of just saying, cage up these animals. I hate it. I hate it so much. And I feel like we get looked down upon way too much. Not just Liverpool. This is everyone. This is us, the football community. It's shocking. It's shocking. And if there is problems and there are issues, I would probably suggest that those are wider systemic issues that then just creep into football, rather than football fans have a switch that just turns them into angry lunatics whenever they play. It's shocking, lads. It's shocking. And I don't know how many cup finals we've played against Chelsea, but unless I'm mistaken, I don't really remember seeing reports of fighting or... Look, we don't like each other. I think that's fair to say. Chelsea fans aren't really fond of us and we're probably not that fond of them. But, you know, a bit of dignity and class, a bit of respect goes a long way in this. Rather than, you're an animal, we're going to treat you like an animal. So I wish the Metropolitan Police would be looking at this in a different viewpoint. I understand it's sensitive. I understand that they will have information we don't have. But it's always like football fans. We deserve better. Right, so that's that little moan out of the way. Now let's get into some talk again from our friends at Transfer. I say our friends, again, I don't know them. At Transfer Sector, they said earlier on today, Liverpool are looking to target Crystal Palace's Mark Gay in the summer as Jurgen Klopp continues to look at refreshing his squad, and they credit Anderson from the Mirror for this one. So I have to say, yes please for me. I don't know the number, and I'd like to put it to you guys. Has anyone seen a number around this? How much Mark Gay could potentially cost? Craig, will you eat a plate of broccoli if Gomez scores this season? No, I absolutely will not. I'm not eating the devil's food, vile weed. It's disgusting. And I've agreed to eat one piece if Liverpool win the league, but that's it. The plate of broccoli would just be Craig vomits. That's what would happen. So yeah, fee for Mark Gay, what do you think would be a reasonable expectation? I like it. And it seems a consistent link as well, because we looked at him last summer and we always knew Palace or anybody wouldn't really be open to an offer in the January window. So it does make sense. A little double raid maybe. If if Liverpool wanted to go in for Michael Elise, that wouldn't be too bad. But for this one, I'd like to know what you think on the price. 40 maybe, said Sergu. 40 to 45, said Basketball Philosophy. Excuse me, he said 45. Mahmood said 60 million. 40 to 50 million for Big Country. Press Salah, 48 mil. I think you seem to be in and around the same numbers. I think if we could say 40 is probably the average of what you guys have said in the chat, that looks about right. And I'd be okay with that. That's a level that I think would offer value, especially buying from a Premier League rival, or I guess everyone in the league's a rival, but you get what I mean. English club to English club usually costs a bit more. Yeah, good link. But really interested. When I spoke to Lee Gunner, as you know, is an Arsenal fan, and we were talking about the January market, and this was back in December, I think. And I remember Lee saying to me that when they were looking for a central defender for Arsenal, they all liked the idea of Anderson from Crystal Palace. So it is mad the way I would definitely go with Mark Gay over Anderson, but for the Arsenal fans, they seemingly, or at least Lee thought, that Anderson would be a better fit for Arsenal. How about John W. Henry trades a plate of broccoli for Mark Gay? Well, if you can get that deal over the line, I think well done, John W. Henry. I mean, if you can swap a plate of broccoli for anything, that's a win. So let's have a look at the poll and see how it's going so far. So we asked you guys, if you could sign one for Liverpool, who would it be? And the options were Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe. And so far, with pretty much nearly 1,000 votes, it's 66% of you guys are going for Kylian Mbappe as the one that you would rather over Vinny Jr. Somebody there's put a comment in that's not very fond of Lee. I understand it, but Lee's my friend. Lee treats me with the respect that I treat him with, and I won't talk badly about my friend. But look, we all have people we like and dislike in the content world with regard to opinions, and what I like about Lee is that, like myself, he's not short of opinions. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I agree with him saying his honest thoughts, and that always is good for me, because I'm a very much you get what you see kind of person, and I've always been, I count Lee as a friend, and a good friend at that as well. Always been good to me. Craig, I'm 12.5% Irish. I mean, okay, we're stretching it. My great granny, Shara, was from Galway. Can I get my Irish badge for that? 12.5%. What we saying, chat? We giving it to him? 12.5% Irish. You're playing the granny card. Your great granny card. Ooh, 12.5%. Do we give him the badge? I'll allow it. I'm going to allow it. You get the badge. You get to class yourself as Irish. Welcome to the family. And I would say the best sign to get is Jeremy Frimpong. We don't need him, though. That's the thing, Oliver. At the minute, do we really need Jeremy Frimpong? Okay, I get, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself with regards to Conor Bradley, but I'd rather wait and see how Conor Bradley gets on. And also we've got Calvin Ramsey, who, is a little bit behind, of course, had some injuries, so difficult for him to get going and get a rhythm. But I don't know if we need to buy a fullback on the right-hand side with Conor Bradley there. Now, if Trent moves into midfield full-time, okay, maybe you can make an argument then to dip into the market, but I'd rather go in and have the two youngsters fighting for it, because if there's one thing this season has taught me, it's when Klopp or Linders think someone's ready, they're usually ready. And any of the kids that they've put in this season, Chambers was probably the one that worried me the most. But again, I could see the good things in Luke Chambers' game. It was just that inexperience, and he's gone out on loan for the remainder of the campaign. So I think a Wigan, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll get more experience on the left side. And then, of course, we have Owen Beck on the left side as well. And then two youngsters on the right. So I'm kind of would rather we put faith in them for the time being. Do you think we sign somebody, Shannon, in January? No, not really. You can never say never in this window, but it's a particularly it's a particularly slow window right across, isn't it? Like, there's not, if it's down to FFP or whatever, I don't know. And I was having this conversation with Ben earlier on. It's been a weird month for football in general. Like, it doesn't feel like the same enthusiasm is there for football at the minute. It's almost like we're in this middle part of the season where nothing really happening yet. The relegation zone looks almost sorted, bar maybe one place. At the top of the league title hasn't really caught fire yet, the race, because we're not into the business end. It's been weird. It's been weird. Even trying to drive interesting content has been a real... it's really hard to generate it compared to other months. So I'm looking forward to next week. Wednesday, massive game against Chelsea. Followed up Sunday, massive game at the Emirates. And that's big. Big. So I'm hyped for next week. What are your thoughts on... I don't know who that is. Sorry, Foxy. I have no idea who that is. Bradley was naive for Fulham's goal yesterday. See, to some extent, Philip, I disagree. I don't know anybody who could have changed direction quick enough. Now, okay, potentially maybe you could have somebody with a better starting position. That much fair enough. But what I liked from Bradley, and I like that you've used the word naive, I think that's fair. But what I liked from Bradley was that the determination and effort to get back at Anthony Robinson was there. And unless I'm thinking of the wrong move for Fulham, this was the one where he was pelting back in and Robinson just cut back and just kind of, we went past them. So, I don't know, in that moment, what else he could have done other than potentially have a better starting position there. But I'd have to go back and watch the goal a few more times to look at it. But again, good choice of words. I like that you said naive, because it's probably the right one. Bradley has heart. He does, but I love to hear that he's liked around the dressing room. I love to hear that Klopp thinks so fondly of him. It's great. Because I don't know if we're getting a golden generation of youth players or if it's an anomaly, but it feels like we've got some really good talented kids at the minute. What do you think about the under-18s losing 10-0 against Ajax? My first thought was, how many of those kids from Ajax can we bring over to the Liverpool side? Is there any standout? Honestly, that was my first thought. Because I don't really ever care about the under-18 scores, because it doesn't matter if they win or lose stuff. The goal is to produce players for the first team. And if you can do that, fair enough. But yeah, look, it's not great, is it? When you see a 10-0 deficit. But yeah, my first thought was definitely, how many of those Ajax players can we pinch? Bradley's better to defend, but not that effective in attack. Disagree strongly on that, especially if you've watched them for Northern Ireland. Look at what Conor Bradley's had to face since he's played, right? So we had the last few minutes against Arsenal, very tricky team. Then he came in and he had Anthony Robinson and Willian to contest with last night. And then Bournemouth, he had, Bournemouth team who had won 7 out of 9 at that point. So I think he did quite well. And I think when he gets more accustomed to the position, you'll see those attacking strengths that he has, because he definitely can get forward. Trust me, he's played in midfield previously. He would more identify, I'd say, as a wing back if you talk about him in the way you get the most out of him playing. So, yeah, I do think you'll see that side of him when he gets more accustomed to the role, I think. But then again, I'm absolutely biased. I've said this before. Do I think Arsenal fans are deluded? I wouldn't use the word deluded. But what I would say is, I think us and Arsenal fans maybe have a lot more in common than either realises. We both have tendencies to go and react over angrily to a situation and overhyping to a positive. I'm definitely somebody who would say, if they're deluded, I'm deluded. The only thing that gets me is there's a sense of arrogance I don't understand sometimes from some Arsenal fans, or like, you've never won a Champions League and they're talking about them being somewhat favourites and stuff like that. That kind of stuff sometimes I go, really? Like, remember I had the little run-in with the dude on the kickoff, and I just couldn't put up with the arrogance. I was like, where's this arrogance coming from? You haven't earned this arrogance. You've done nothing out since Wenger left, and now all of a sudden you're better than Liverpool and you're belittling Liverpool in this, and Saka's better than Salah, and some of that stuff I was just like, that is bordering on delusional. But on the other side of it, as football fans, isn't that what we want? Like, we want to dream. We want. So I feel like it's okay if we have these conversations amongst ourselves and we say to each other, Liverpool can win the league, Liverpool can win a quadruple, or Liverpool can. But if we're going out into the social media world and telling others we're going to do it, yeah, then maybe we start to become delusional. But we should all be able to dream as football fans. Right, let's get into some more news. Kimmich. Let's talk about Joshua Kimmich for a minute. We said earlier on that the bookies have Liverpool as a slight favourite to sign Joshua Kimmich. The report that came out, if I'm not mistaken, from the Star, said that Liverpool are keeping tabs on the situation. Liverpool are interested. Bayern would want 50 million in this market, or 25 million perhaps in the summer window. They went through and they listed his experience, how many caps he's had for Germany and all that stuff. But I think they're probably on the money with the two favourites. Liverpool and Man City would be my guess of where we'd end up next. I'd probably lean to City if I'm being honest, but there's been some talk that he prefers and likes the idea of coming to play with Klopp, and I just say that for me this is value. If 25 million in the summer is the price, I would pay it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I'd have no qualms about replacing Thiago with him for the exact same role we wanted Thiago for in the squad. The winning mentality, the experience. Yeah, I think it would be a win-win. And would give, again, versatility to Jurgen Klopp in how he'd like to line up his midfield. But the bookies have 2-1 for Liverpool, 3-1 for City, 7-2 for Real Madrid, 6-1 for United. What else was there that we didn't go through earlier on? The Money League table. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Remind me to talk about that. I just want to go through some of your comments first. Trent is back for the Chelsea game. So he could potentially be back for Sunday. But vibing off what Kloppo said, I feel like you're probably close in what you've said there, that Wednesday makes more sense. Jurgen did say earlier on that Trent, Dominic Szoboszlai and Andy Robertson are all there or thereabouts. Trent hasn't had full training yet. He's done a few bits. Robbo is now back doing everything, and Szoboszlai should be good to go. So the injury crisis is starting to ease a little bit at the club. Obviously, we've got to keep an eye on the Mohamed Salah situation and on how Egypt got on in the AFCON. I've seen that they're playing Congo. I think that was confirmed earlier on. I think it's the Democratic Republic of Congo they're playing in the last 16 after Morocco's 1-0 win. So, yeah, that's good. Like, I'm happy that we're getting players back when it's coming to the business end of the season. And if there is any positive to be had out of the time Robbo's been out or whatever, it's like a breather. He's got to rest. He should be fresh when he comes back. And we need him. We need that balance. But again, want to highlight and give full credit to Joe Gomez for being fantastic at filling in. And more than filling in, he's done very well in the role at left back. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he played left back for a season under Rodgers as well, if my memory doesn't fail me. So brilliant for Joe Gomez and well done to him. But yeah, having Robbo back would be great. Craig, I used Twitter earlier. My God, some brain dead people. I swear rival fans have some weird Liverpool obsession. That's why I'm not on Twitter, mate. Anfield Agenda's on there, but I don't have access to the account. Connor runs it. I had to. I hated myself when I was on there because I was seeing people's opinions of me that didn't know me, but they were all negative, and I was just thinking, am I a bad person? Am I like? It just had me feeling crap about myself, and I've been a lot happier since I've moved away from it. Vinny has a bad attitude. Does he? I mean, if I was being racially abused, I'd probably be pretty pissed off as well, to be honest with you. Um, so I don't know. Look, people say it about him. They say it about MBAPPE. I heard it said about Sturridge, and I always say the same. Until the players at your club in a different situation and environment, I don't know, because Danny Sturridge was nothing but brilliant at Liverpool from what I heard. But before he came, loads of talk that he was big time Charlie, or he was this and he was that. And then when he came to the club, the vibe was that he was brilliant with the younger players. He was like a big brother to them. Very positive. So I don't know with Vinicius Jr. because I don't know him as a person. But I tell you this, if I was being racially abused, I'd be pretty pissed off about it. I'd be pretty angry at the world at times. So, it's a big burden and it's a big battle he shouldn't have to fight, quite frankly. The man's a footballer. He should be judged on his footballing abilities and nothing else. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say on Vinny. I don't know the man, but I know he's a good footballer. Any update about Liverpool documentary? Is it a done deal yet? No, I haven't seen anything new, Alvin. And for people who maybe don't know what Alvin's asking about, there's a report the other day to say that FSG are close to finalising or a fly on the wall documentary about Liverpool. So I hope it happens, because I think we'd all love to see the insights of behind the scenes at Liverpool and make up for the being Liverpool that was a bit cringy, let's be honest. So yeah, I'd love it. I hope it happens. But no, I'm not seeing an update, mate. So Mark sent me a stat. 7 finals between Liverpool and Chelsea, including the final next month. Liverpool have beaten Chelsea for a Super Cup, an FA Cup, a Charity Shield and a League Cup. Chelsea have won League Cup and then FA Cup beaten us. So hopefully history's on our side and we do the number. I know the bookies have us as favourites over Chelsea for the League Cup final. I think we're like 1-2 and Chelsea are something like 11-8, maybe something like that. So the bookies certainly look at Liverpool as being favourites for it, but doesn't mean nothing. It's whoever shows up on the day. Have you seen the Gomez Adidas advertisement? I haven't, no. Have you seen the Craig Adidas advertisement? Neither have I, but hopefully we will someday. Coop Miners or Kimmich? I'd say Kimmich. Yeah, because as I said, the experience factor for me. Because we've got lots of players who can play the role, but I think we need the experience. And Tane Coop Miners is a very good player, but if you're losing Thiago and Matip, we're losing a lot of experience from the dressing room. I think we need to replace that experience. Loads of hate in the chat towards Vinny Jr. I don't know why, but again, look, we all have our opinions on players and whatnot. I'm not going to here to judge you guys on it, so I just gloss over the comment if that's alright. Joshua Kimmich, Elise and Gay will be amazing. That would be a pretty good window, Oliver, to be fair. Did you guys see what Rami Abbasissa said earlier on about the people who are basically trying to make a name for themselves off undermining Mo? I very much liked those comments from him. It's the only thing I wish he did is I wish he named people. I hate when people are vague on things like that. Like, I love the shithousery, I love the calling out, but do it properly. Like, although I guess maybe the argument is that he doesn't want to add to their notoriety or fame, which is probably a fair comment. Where am I? What am I looking for? Oh, the money list. Yes, I didn't get to the money list yet, so let's talk about the money list. So, the money list and the... who was this one? Is it Deloitte who did this one? I think it was Deloitte. Somebody did a money list anyway. And the money list looks at revenue figures reported in clubs' annual accounts for the 2022-23 season. And there's been a few changes in this, and Liverpool have dropped down this table a little bit. So the club that generated the most money, the most revenues in the 2022-2023 season were Real Madrid, who made £723 million. Followed by Champions League winners Manchester City with £718.2 million. PSG came third with £697 million. And then rounding out the top five were Barcelona, £695 million. Manchester United had generated money, £648.5 million. And Liverpool dropped down a couple of places. Liverpool generated £583.2 million, which put us down, I think, in the 7th place in that Money League table. Which is kind of, I guess, understandable. You know, considering we had a pretty poor campaign in the league. That's seen us, drop quite far down the table. And, so that's where we're at. So United are back generating more money than us, but we're still in a pretty decent position. And you would imagine that when we get back in the Champions League and, winning a few trophies this year, hopefully we'll get back up that list. Calvin Phillips would have been nice, would it? I don't want to solve City's problems for them. Calvin Phillips is desperate because he needs to get into the England squad. He needs to be in the Euros. And I absolutely would have no interest in bringing him to Liverpool at all because he hasn't played enough football. And I'd rather stick with what we have. I certainly don't want to help him or Manchester City. And not being in the Champions League as well. Yeah, but that wouldn't account for 2022-23. We were in the Champions League in 2022-23. So that would, we would have Champions League money in that campaign. City ain't got enough fans to generate that amount of money. Something seems funny. Well, we kind of... Where's the other thing we were talking about with Manchester City's revenues? Hang on. Because there was something else on... Here it is. So again, transfer sector, I feel like I'm talking with them a lot. They said, and this comes from The Athletic, Manchester City don't make enough matchday revenue to enter Europe's top 10 despite having the best commercial income in the Premier League at €399 million. So there's a lot of stuff about Manchester City that I think it's fair to say confuses us. There's a lot of pumped up hyperinflation regards to their numbers that isn't backed up by human foot traffic, in my opinion. And although we like to be told that they're this global behemoth these days, I think when they win stuff and nobody's out in the streets giving a shit, that tells us more than any of their, let's call them impressive financial numbers. I feel like Abu Dhabi and me are going to have beef. I feel like Abu Dhabi are going to come after me eventually at some point for all the criticisms of Manchester City over the years. But I'm not going to drop it. I'm not going to stop because it stinks to high hell to me. So, Craig, if your long lost brother was Jeff Bezos and gave you 50 billion, would you buy Liverpool? Yeah. 50 bill? You bet your ass I would. 50 billion. So what? The club, they probably value the club at about 5. So that still gives me 45 billion quid to play around with. Yes, sir. And I tell you what, there'd be improvements there very quickly because the infrastructure would be through the roof because I wouldn't give a shit about seeing a return on that money. So yeah, Liverpool would be a destination to visit for sure. News just came out that Kimmich is interested in us as well, said Meech. We love that. We love that. Joshua, go on, dude. Bring it in. Bring it in. Paul said the transfer window is very quiet. Do you think it's down to FFP? Yes. Yeah, there was a couple of good articles written about this and I think a few podcasts speaking about it. Yeah, is this a good or a bad thing? It's weird, right? Because in theory, it's a good thing because we want clubs and we want FFP to exist and we want clubs to have to answer to it. But in another weird way, it stunted the window and kind of made it boring the entire month. Whereas usually, it's non-stop transfer talk, shows, podcasts, all of us fans guessing, moaning. But this window has just been very underwhelming right across the board, and I can only assume it's down to FFP or clubs just not needing or wanting to sell at the minute. And also, like, I think there's other factors. If you look at the Premier League, I remember when Miguel Delaney did his piece, he said that you look at the relegation zone and there's probably not teams that fear relegation outside of the bottom three and maybe Everton and a potential points deduction. So nobody's going to have to really spend there to stave off going down to relegation. So it's weird. It's a weird market in general because of a whole host of factors. But yeah, it's very disappointing, isn't it, for us transfer lovers? It's not called FFP, it's called PSR now. Well, that depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Premier League's profit and sustainability, yes, but if you're talking about UEFA, FFP is still what they classify as their FFP system, and the PSR only really works for English clubs, but it's been a quiet window across Europe. Um, Manchester City signed somebody from River Plate, but they've loaned him back. You've got that loan move for Calvin Phillips to West Ham. Brighton brought in the dude from Barco from Boca. But, I mean, has there been many big moves in January across Europe? Like, has anybody spent in excess of 40 million quid anywhere across Europe? It's down to Man City being corrupt, said David Massett. You said it, David, not me. Does the FFP charges affect a player like De Bruyne's achievements? See, I think that's a very individual question, right? So I look at this a bit differently. Do I think FFP, and if Manchester City were found guilty, does that take away from the player's achievements? I certainly find it harder to be angry at the players. But the manager, yes, because he's been so staunch and determined and ballsy and potentially arrogant over the whole thing, in my opinion. But the players have just got on with playing. So, to some extent, I would say yes. Like, they can't bury their heads in the sand and profess innocence to all of it when, some of them went there knowing that maybe there was some big headaches coming down the line for them. But I certainly would have a lot more sympathy for the players than Guardiola or the board. Anybody who basically laughed at everybody else and said we're all delusional and said that it's a witch hunt is just... It deserves everything they get, in my opinion, if they're found guilty. What are your thoughts on Calvin Ramsey? Does he deserve a chance to try and possibly break through into the matchday squad? He needs to play football. And that's the thing. With Preston, obviously, with his injury, and then when he came back, he couldn't get a look in there. So I don't think keeping him at Liverpool right now is going to be the best thing for him because Calvin Ramsey needs to play football. So, getting him out to get games under his belt is the most important thing for him right now, because Conor Bradley went and did that last year and had a brilliant loan spell and got a lot of plaudits for it. Has come back in now and look what he's doing with us. Sepp van den Berg's having a pretty productive loan at Mainz and getting regular minutes. Chambers, in his first game, I think he had an assist at Wigan. So it's about just getting them minutes and then we get to see what happens from there. Bradley or Trent for the final and right back? Oh, I would imagine we're going to see Trent in the hybrid role. I would imagine that's what we'll see. So Robertson left back, Trent right back, Canade, Van Dijk, Kelleher in goal. At that point, I don't know, Endo, McAllister in midfield, whoever Klopp wants. I would think, hopefully, guessing Jones, Szoboszlai, then Salah, Darwin Diaz. That's, if I had to guess right now at the starting 11, that'd probably be it. Too many injuries, Craig, at a young age. But if they're growing injuries, Dave, and I don't know if they are or aren't, mate, so I'm not trying to say you're wrong, I'm right. If they're injuries that maybe just because of his development or because of the rigours of, maybe he has to put on more muscle to carry this, I don't know. But if it does continue on in longer term, then yes, it's worrying, because we haven't really got to see much of him at all since we saw him from Aberdeen. Pokart said, Craig, I've always been a big fan of Vinny Jr. and he's world class. I honestly think I would take him over MBAPPE, but who would you take? I feel like MBAPPE is obviously the better player, but for the system and the way we play, I would say Vinicius Jr. would be a fairly good fit for us. But look, as I've said all along, you take either in a heartbeat and be very happy about it. But I just find it very difficult to believe that Real Madrid are going to sell him. And I also find it even harder to think who's going to pay the money. Because they're going to want big money for Vinicius Jr. And who has that money? The days of Italy having the money are gone at the minute. Manchester City, do they even need him? Doubt it. United, is he going to want to go to United? They're probably one of the few clubs that could afford it. Don't really see him ending up at Newcastle in their current guise with the issues they have around because they're trying to sell players to generate freedom to be able to buy more. So I don't know where he goes. Hi Craig, hope everything's good. Do you think Vinny Jr. will get racially abused by rival fans in England? I mean, when we talk about race in football and we talk about racism in football, I think it's important to point out a couple of things. It's not so much a football problem as it's a societal problem, and it's an educational problem. And sometimes, in a weird way, when it comes to professional athletes being racially abused on social media or their DMs being flooded with them, I don't know how else to say this, so please excuse my ignorance if I haven't worded it good enough. It's one of those situations where it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the more you highlight it, the more I feel like it's going to happen. But of course you have to highlight it. But if you're highlighting it without coming down like a ton of bricks and showing that there are consequences, serious consequences over and over again, then what does it have any teeth? How do you cut it out? Unless you're going to start really punishing, I feel like we have to deal with it from a societal issue. And some parts of the world, some cultures have different belief systems. Some are a bit more open-minded, forward-leaning, and there are some countries who have bigger problems around racism in football than others. That again, I would say is probably a fact. So I can't sit here and say that Vinicius Jr. came to Liverpool or England that he'd never be racially abused, in the same way I couldn't say that any player who currently plays the trade in the Premier League. But what I will say is, the fact that they even have to concern themselves with that is not good enough for us as a society, as a group of people. And to any of these people who feel like they judge somebody in the colour of their skin, they need educating. They need to, it needs to be told, like, it's why? I don't get it. Like, truly, I don't understand racism. If somebody's an asshole, to me, I don't care if they're black, if they're brown, if they're white, don't care. If you're an asshole, I'm calling you an asshole. If you're sound, you're sound. I judge people on their character, on how they interact with me. It would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years come into my head to racially abuse somebody on a football pitch because of the colour of their skin. For a couple of reasons. One, because it's wrong, and two, because there's so many more fun things that I could take the piss out of them over. About being shit, about missing sitters, about, I don't know, 50 things. The club they play for, How we beat them 4-0 or whatever. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how people... Same way I don't understand how people think it's okay to say always the victims at Liverpool, and then, you know, it kind of just gets brushed under the carpet. So, racism is disgusting. It's honestly one of the most vile things to me in the planet. So, because you're not judging somebody on who they are. You know, you're judging somebody straight away off the colour of their skin like they're inferior, and that's the problem. Why do we think that somebody with a different colour skin tone is in any way inferior? I honestly don't get it. And that's my problem with this. I can't understand how people get to that thought process. But let me say this, before we finish up on it. Nobody's born a racist. Nobody's born with hatred. Nobody's born... Everyone's indoctrinated in these things. So that's how we have to look at. Education. And hopefully, and I do hope this is a generational change where the new younger generation of people will be more alerted, and like mental health, you know, it's spoken about a lot more, pushed back on a lot more. And I hope that's the same with race, because we definitely need to be better around this, all of us. And I even challenge myself on this occasionally. Like, do I sometimes have subconscious biases for or against somebody? Have I been walking down the street and ever seen a group of people of a certain race or belief and put my hand in my pocket to hold my wallet? Or I challenge myself every day on these things, whether they're conscious or subconscious. But also, and there's another side to this which doesn't get spoken about a lot, there's an awful lot of fake accusations of racism as a get out of jail card that I think undermines the genuine racism. So I say this a lot around my own dealings about the Mohamed Salah stuff. I can't just say Mohamed Salah has had a poor game without somebody trying to accuse me of having an ulterior motive for it. So those people, in my opinion, are equally as big a part of the problem, that looking for that as the get out of jail or the underlying reason for any criticisms. So it's a balancing act that I simply am not intelligent enough to figure out. But we all need to learn. We all need to be open to educate ourselves and grow as people and inform ourselves. And lastly on this, because I know I've waffled on a little bit on it, one thing I've found in life, whoever you disagree with, whether you disagree on politics, finances, religion, doesn't matter. Once we talk, that takes down a lot of barriers. And conversation is the way forward. If you have any questions, like I've often asked questions about the Islamic faith, because I don't understand and I want to be educated on it, so I don't hurt someone's feelings. So I think when we have dialogue, we'll find all of us have a lot more in common than we do that would divide us. And that's the goal for me, to make sure that we have the conversation, to make sure that we chat, to make sure that we realise, oh shit, we have a lot in common. Or, you know, we might not agree with something in one thing, but we agree with 50 other things. Sorry for that bit of a waffle. Was there anything I missed out on earlier on? So I know people think I'm just a shouty arsehole, and I am. When I watch football in Liverpool, I am. But honestly, man, it's I try all the time to educate myself and become a better person and be more understanding. And I think we should all be that way in life. But the truest thing of all of it is no one's born a racist. No one's born hateful. It's a learned pattern, and unfortunately we need to solve that. We need to stop the education, the bigotry, the hatred. Because let's be honest, sometimes if you're at a football game, and I think we're all probably guilty of this at some point, especially if we were kids or something, we'd sing a song we hear on the terraces, or we'd sing a song we hear our parents singing if we're growing up or something. And, you know, you might not understand the meaning of that song until it's pointed out to you. And then you go, oh shit, I didn't understand that's what it was for. And sometimes that's the case as well. I'm a mixed race man. I believe you respect me and I respect you. End of, said David. Yeah. And look, if that's the starting point for us all, mate, we're on a good one, right? If we can just talk and be nice to each other. Like, I'm an equal opportunist asshole. As I said to you earlier on, I don't care what ethnicity or religion you are. I'll call you an asshole if you're an asshole, regardless of anything else. And I'll call you a mate if you're good to me and sound and nice to me, regardless of anything else. And that's what I love about this. For me, doing what I do, all I see is text on the screen. I don't know who you are. I don't know your age. I don't know a lot about you. But I know in the text we're all the same. So I treat every comment the same. Right, anyway, let's move. I need some help. Alan Varela. Anybody got any input on this gentleman who we and Manchester City have been linked with? 70 million euros the price tag. All I know is he's a midfielder. After that, I know nothing. I don't know anything about this dude other than I don't know if we need to drop 70 mil on a midfielder. So, anybody watched much of him for Porto? Gonna leave that up for a little while as well, just, you know, because I gotta keep plugging these tickets, folks, because who would have thought that an Irish man gone over to Boston who's never been heard of would struggle to shift tickets for a venue? Shock horror. But we do need to, I need to keep plugging away. So if you are in Boston, you know the drill by now. 22nd of March, we're going to be there and we'd love to see you. Tickets and Ticketmaster. He was available last summer for 8 million. Oh my days, Russell. Oh no, that's a definite no now, Russell. 8 million last summer. Because here's me, Russell, moaning about Inacio for 40 million last summer and 60 million now. And that seems like great business now compared to 70 million euro for someone that could have been 8 million quid. Christ, that's a big markup. He was at Boca and went to Porto for 8 million. There definitely has been some real bargains coming out of South America, and I guess this is why a lot of clubs are looking to cut out the middleman here and get themselves straight into that South American market or the Argentinian League, Brazilian League, Mexican League, Colombian League. Wow. Some profit to be made there though, isn't there? Like, we did the yoke the other day where we went through the academies and what academies have generated the most money in world football. And to see Benfica's academy over the last 10 years have generated over £500 million. That's serious money, like, generated for Benfica over 10 years from the academy and the players that they've brought through and sold on, or brought in, trained and sold on. So maybe clubs are just trying to cut out the middleman now, as I said. I said we could have signed him last summer. Mascherano said he was like him. So he's a holding midfielder, Russell, is he? Which I guess gives me a little bit more information than I had before the stream, because I was wondering why we're being linked with them, you know, because we were pretty covered in the attacking midfield roles. Portuguese clubs seem to get a lot of South American players, no work permit issues. And also, I could be wrong on this, maybe somebody can help me out. Do Brazilians, is there some residency thing where Brazilians can get a Portuguese passport after a period of time, or have I made that up? I was sure I remembered at one point reading that, you know, there's a reason why we see a lot of Brazilian players in the Portuguese league, and that it's easier for them to get citizenship or a dual passport or something. Are you still going to do the sports watch-alongs on top of the league? Yes, we did one on Tuesday, and we're doing another one tomorrow. Myself and Ben will be on audio only. Myself and Ben are going to do Spurs Manchester City tomorrow on top of the league at 7:30. And we're going to do the Anfield Agenda live stream tomorrow at 6:15. So yeah, put that in your diaries if you can. 6:15 live stream on Anfield Agenda, and then we'll be on top of the league for the watch along of the FA Cup game from 7:30. Alan Varela is basically the same player as Andre. So the Andre one's weird though, right? Still nothing. Still nowhere. Still not signed for anyone. I wonder what it is that made Liverpool go really, really cold that quickly on Andre. Is it Endo? Or is it really by Cecic? Or I don't know. But I find it weird that a player that was being linked with Serie A, a couple of Premier League clubs, and I know Fulham are still trying, but weird that nothing has happened with him. Dragusin with the winner against City. Oh yeah, I forgot that he's gone for there now. Already, he wasn't there a day, and Sky Sports had an article calling him the Romanian Van Dijk. They're both similar to Mascherano. I loved him, Russell. I loved him so much, mate, at Liverpool. Mascherano was just... I loved him. He's like a little pit bull terrier, and he was so damn good in that role. MBAPPE news. I don't really know. Like... is there another word I can use for this that's not going to get me into trouble, because I don't want to undermine mental health by saying... Yeah. So the whole Real Madrid and Kylian Mbappe thing is the most Jekyll and Hyde situation I've ever seen. It goes from they don't want him to they want him more than anything. It goes from he wants to be paid €2 million a week to Real Madrid are only going to be paying him 450 grand a week after tax, or 600 grand a week, or 700 grand before tax, to now be in a situation where he had till the second week of January to make up his mind, or Real Madrid would pull in the offer. Now all of a sudden he has to the end of the month. And then it was they don't need him, they're looking at Haaland. And then it was Haaland's name to be mentioned more and more at Real Madrid, and they're looking at leaning on Jude Bellingham to bring Haaland in to make sure that they had the Dortmund connection again. And now it's gone to, they want Mbappe so badly that they're willing to sell Vinicius Jr. to free up the spot and the money in the squad for Mbappe. I don't know what to believe anymore about the whole Real Madrid Kylian Mbappe fiasco. It's weird. I get it from Real Madrid's side. They don't want to overcommit again and be left with egg on their face, because he's turned them down once to stay at PSG. But I would imagine behind the scenes it's far more clear to Mbappe and his family what they want than what's been put out in public, because every day I read something new from, like, really one end of the spectrum to the other, from want to more than that on this earth to don't care if we don't sign him. Like, it's weird. If Real Madrid sign... If Real sign Liverpool, will that affect FF? I don't know what that means, Asher. You're missing a word somewhere in there. Sorry, I just got to... I don't know what that's about, Flecky. I can defo assure you, mate, no crack has been smoked here. Weird comment, dude. I don't think I've said anything too strange today, in fairness. Let's have a look at the poll anyway. Over 2,000 votes now in it. And we said if you could sign one for Liverpool, who would it be? So 67% now with Mbappe, 33% with Vinicius Jr. I think we can end that, because it's pretty clear that by about 2-1, you guys would prefer Mbappe. So David Ornstein said earlier on, and he's reiterated what he said before, that he thinks Mohamed Salah still feels that he has more to give and achieve in Europe at the top level. It can't just be me that found that style of wording very interesting, because he didn't say he has more to achieve with Liverpool in Europe at the top level, which has kind of piqued my curiosity of what does he think is going to happen. Like, what do you think is going to happen, lads and lassies, around Mo? Because, again, let's just read through what was credited to David Ornstein, what he said, and then we'll kind of try and pick the bones out of it. And look, maybe at times we overthink these things as well. Where was it gone? We haven't talked about Kubo yet. We'll move on to talk about him in a few minutes. Where's this one? Not that one. Not that one. Was it that one? No, not that one. I'm sure I had these quotes earlier on from Ornstein. Oh, it was Mark that sent them to me, wasn't it? That's why I don't have them. Nope, 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 nope. No, I don't have them to hand. Sorry. Um, cool. Anyway, David Ornstein said something about Mo still wanting to achieve stuff in Europe at the highest level, but maybe it's just me who picked up on the fact that he didn't say with Liverpool. Because that's the thing I want to find out. And I think that's the thing we all want to know. What on earth is going to happen? Do Liverpool want to give him a new deal? You know, I get that he's at the AFCON, or technically in AFCON mode at the minute, so, you know, maybe now isn't the time to talk about it, but we're running out of time to talk about it because it can't go to the summer. It's just a nice way of saying I don't want to play in Saudi Arabia. No, I get that. Like, and I agree with David Ornstein. I think we all will. Like, nobody's thinking Mohamed Salah is on the decline and should be going off to play in a league to get his pension. Nah, he's definitely right in what he says, David Ornstein. Mohamed Salah 100% has years left at the top level in Europe. Now, you can argue whether it's 2, 3, or whatever, but certainly I agree. I guess I just want to know what Liverpool's feckin' plan is here. Like, is there any interest from our side, or do we think we're priced out of it? Because there's another part of this that I debated with Connor as well. I wouldn't give him a pay rise. The same way I wouldn't give anybody a pay rise at that age. I don't like this idea that every contract in football has to be more than your last one, because whilst I say openly and agree 100% that he has a lot to give at the top level still, I will also say in the very next breath that his best days are behind him. But that doesn't mean he still hasn't got a lot to give and still can't deliver. But I think the contract he's on now was his peak contract. That was the best years of him. And I feel like if you were to put more money on the table, I don't think it's the right move for us, because I don't think it's clever. Do you think we'll wait and see what happens with MBAPPE? I don't know, Ryan. There's a lot of moving pieces in this that's hard to gauge. Craig, why Boston visit Dallas, please? I think I will be in Dallas in October, but only on a layover for a flight I'm looking to get sorted for Vegas. It's going through Dallas Fort Worth. Madrid's offer ends in January for MBAPPE, right? Well, that's what's been said publicly, Alan, but we all know that those goalposts will probably be moved again, mate, if there's no answer from MBAPPE at the end of January. Wouldn't surprise me if FSG will try buy Salah after losing MBAPPE. Give Salah a new deal after MBAPPE. No pay rise, but a decent signing bonus. Yeah, I can understand that. Salah accept the deal, stay at Liverpool. If not, Salah will go. You're right, Robbie, I get that, but like, there also has to be a cut-off point in this negotiation from either side. Because I've said this so many times, I feel like I'm a broken record. If Liverpool are going to get a deal agreed with Mo, it has to be done before the summer. It has to be done before the end of the season. We cannot let the situation go into the summer window knowing that when that window slams shut, the next time a window's open, he can sign a pre-contract to leave Liverpool for free the next summer. He could do it in the next following January. So, like, this time next year, he could sign a contract if we haven't sorted out a deal with him yet and leave for free in the summer. So, it worries me because I don't understand how people who are so clever in business have let this situation happen. Where right now we have 3 players who at the end of this season will have 1 year to go, varying in experience and importance to the team, from Trent Alexander-Arnold, who you would hope has 6, 7, 8 years left at the club, to Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk, who are 2 of the first names on the team sheet and 2 of the most important people in our squad. And all of them are in this same situation where we've got to get their contract sorted before the summer, and it worries me. I think we'll get Trent's done easy enough, and you would hope Verge, but I don't know what the expectations are on the Mohamed Salah side of this conversation, of course. So we're all guessing and we're all trying to figure it out, but you hope something's happening behind the scenes. Sorry, it was just a disgusting comment in the chat there that I had to make sure was gone, but thank you to the mods for getting rid of that. I'd take an injury prone Barchetic who plays half the amount of games over a fully fit Morton. Morton's trash. He's not trash, David. He definitely is not trash. He might not ever get to the level to be a regular starter in Liverpool's team, but Tyler Morton has a career ahead of him, definitely. Didn't know about Trent and Verge. Yeah, but look, to be fair, there's been lots of reports to say that Liverpool are getting to those negotiations with Trent and Verge. So there's an expectation that they won't be a problem based off what a lot of the journalists have written and said. So hopefully that's the case. I think both definitely want to stay, and I'd imagine Mo wants to stay, but can Liverpool get to the number with Mo that makes it worthwhile? And also, if you're looking at an extension, how many years? Because, look what happened with Henderson. And I'm not trying to say they're comparable, but Klopp went to bat for Jordan Henderson, and then Henderson basically threw that back in his face, in my opinion, when he ran off as soon as a bit of competition came into the squad and he didn't think he was going to fight for his place and play every week. He ran off and moved elsewhere. Liverpool thinking don't give Salah a deal and sign MBAPPE. Look, I'd be a liar if I said to you, Robbie, I don't think that that's a situation that FSC and John W. Henry have thought over. Sometimes there are sliding door moments in life and in football where the stars align and something could happen that maybe wouldn't happen at any other time. And right now, we have a time in the world where Mo will have a year to go. One of the best players in the world is available technically on a free. And it's a player that we know John W. Henry has long been an admirer of and has spoken to previously. So I think it's only natural that whether we're a million miles off or not, that we think about, is that what's happening? Because you can see why you can join those dots very quickly in your head. But I don't know. None of us know. And that's, I guess, what is the most concerning of it all. Because Salah, Mane, Firmino, if all three of those were lost for a combined 30 million, that'd be shocking business. Mo and MBAPPE would be some statement. Oh, even for 1 year, mate. Imagine defenders if Mohamed Salah, Kylian Mbappe and Darwin Núñez rock up for a game. I mean, just take my money. Like, it's just insanity. I have a bad feeling Salah goes and Pep said Doe can take that space. Yeah, I mean, we're a long way off. If anything right now, probably Kate Gordon would be ahead of Ben Doak right now. Because he's had his own horrendous injuries, but at least he's back now in contention. Salah and Thiago's wages would cover Mbappe's wages, wouldn't they? No, not really. Let me just look at this. After tax, 550. Based off the numbers that have been linked with Real Madrid and Mbappe, you're talking about a pre-tax wage of about 800, 900 grand. And if we believe Salah's basic, and we don't know, but it's been reported there's been 350 and Thiago's on about 200, you're still not all the way there. But if you sold Mo, let's say as an example, then that gives you more wiggle room and I guess pays for the signing on bonus. But it also feels very disrespectful to speak about Salah as a make weight. So it's not, that isn't lost on me when I have this conversation. But that's the whole intrigue of us. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if that's a thought process. We don't know if tomorrow we wake up and go, great news, Mohamed Salah has signed a 2-year extension on his contract, and we're all just going, brilliant, because we'd love that and we'd be over the moon with it. But it's the uncertainty that worries us, and uncertainty in life, isn't a good thing. Or this, Craig, Mbappe goes to Liverpool and Salah goes to PSG. Okay, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but for me, Salah going to PSG is almost the same as him going to Saudi, in that you're not going to win the big prizes. You're not going to go to PSG and win a Ballon d'Or. You're not going to win a Champions League. You'll win the French title and the French Cup, whoop-de-doo. Is that any different from winning the Saudi League or a Saudi Cup? I don't know, but it's not the Champions League. So I would view that as not really a good step. And I don't think it would be a realistic... As much as we know the PSG president is a friend of and certainly a fan of Mo, I don't think Mo could achieve what he wanted to there. Not for me, anyway. Why is Jota not played when he's the best finisher while Salah's away? Apart from the fact that he has played. He didn't start last night. Fair enough, that was probably a surprise, but he certainly played against Bournemouth. Scored 2, had an assist. I would suggest will probably play and start in the games coming up against Chelsea and Arsenal. But look, it was a surprise to me last night he didn't start. I was fully expecting Diogo Jota to be the centre forward for that game last night. Who's your all-time Liverpool starting 11? That video exists, Ibrahim, on the channel, which I don't remember off the top of my head. That's why I'm not giving you the answer. But the video does exist on Anfield Agenda. If you get a chance, mate, have a look at it. How long is the Salah injury? So 21 to 28 days was the last numbers I'd seen. And based off what Jurgen Klopp said in his press conference, it would have to be Egypt getting to the AFCON final, by the sounds of it, for Mo to be able to go back and play. And, as Klopp said, if they get there and Mo is fit, then there's no debate. Mo goes back over, plays the final with Egypt if they make it, and, we all hope he wins it. But until then, I guess we have to just wait and see how Egypt get on whilst Mo's unavailable. VINI or Salah? The problem I have answering these questions is I can't get away from the age differential. And that's a big factor for me, because you're talking about the difference between having somebody for maybe 2 years more or having somebody that can produce for 3, 4, 5, 6 years more. So I guess it comes down to what you want and what you need and what you want from the club. And I would usually, in any of these age debates, regardless of the player, I'd usually fall down on the side of the younger player, because I think there's more value in it. If you're just talking about one season, which one do I want? Salah every day. But that's not a fair answer, because it isn't a 1-year decision. Do you think Joe Gomez will be at the Euros as a second choice right back? Oh God, I don't know. I don't really ever think about football from the context of the English squad, obviously as I'm Irish, but I would argue that there probably isn't as many defenders that Gareth Southgate could pick for the England squad that would give him the level of cover and versatility that Joe Gomez could. Walker, perhaps. I guess maybe Trippier could do it, but he can't play centre back. So, yeah, if I'm Gareth Southgate, I'd definitely be looking at Gomez and thinking, well, left back, right back, centre back. You know, if we had an injury crisis in the competition, he could fill in a whole lot of places. But at the same time, I don't like Gareth Southgate getting near any of the Liverpool players. Who's that? Cal MBAPPE said, I'd 100% prefer Vinny over MBAPPE. He'll bring less problems. Well, that wasn't the kind of vibe in the chat earlier, mate. I was actually quite surprised at how many people thought that Vinicius Jr. would be a troublemaker. It was genuinely took me a bit off guard. Do I think Trippier could be good at Liverpool? He should do a job anywhere, Trippier. But he's 33 and you can't get away from that fact. So, you know, you can't play him week in, week out like Newcastle have had to do because it catches up. But if you brought him in a club like Bayern or Liverpool or City or somebody that doesn't need him to start week in and week out, then, you know, he's a damn good defender. If you could bring in Mbappe or Haaland, who would you bring in? Mbappe, because I don't think we need somebody for the central role. Same with Real Madrid. If I was a Real Madrid fan, I would want Haaland over Mbappe because I'd look at it and think Real Madrid need a central striker. So for us, I think we could do with another pacey, attacking wide player. So the answer would be Mbappe. What is your ultimate midfield if we had no injuries? Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai, or Endo, Jones, Szoboszlai. One of those two would probably be my answer. I hope we get more of a sample size of McAllister in the number 10 position, or at least not on the 6. But that's why I just get the feeling Klopp is building this midfield to have a double pivot. I don't know why, but when you see the links to Kimmich, when you see the talk about Trent going in, you've got Bajcetic there, Endo there, McAllister there. A lot of me just feels like a double pivot is something that's going to happen. And I'm looking forward to the summer to see what way Klopp is thinking in pre-season. Would you take Griezmann at Liverpool? No. I don't like Antoine Griezmann after the whole look at my documentary. Am I going to Barca? Am I staying at Atleti? Ooh, look at me. I thought that was very disrespectful to Atletico Madrid and their fans. Good footballer, but no. What's your view on the Diaz Barcelona stuff? Same as any South American player, I can understand the appeal of Barcelona to a player who grew up, you know, in a Spanish-speaking country, watched La Liga, totally understand it. But I just think, you know, we're not a stepping stone for anybody in my eyes, and we should be a destination club. And if you don't I'm not saying he doesn't want to be here, because he clearly does, but it doesn't sit right with me knowing if Barca came in with an offer that he'd probably want to go, based off what his dad said. Because it always feels like you're looking over your shoulder then. But I do understand the appeal, like I've said all along. I don't know. Like, remember when we were being linked with Christopher Nkunku, and he had just come out and said that his heart was always with Paris. That immediately I said, and you can go back and watch, I said it at the time, that would send alarm bells ringing in my mind, because then if you ever signed him, you're thinking, well, we have him as long as PSG don't want them. As soon as PSG come back in, then all of a sudden he throw his toys out of the pram and probably want to move to PSG. So we've not seen any real indication that Barcelona are going to come in for Diaz. So it's not really an issue until that happens. And right now, they've got bigger problems. They look like they could be changing manager at some point. I don't know what the financials are like at the minute at Barcelona, but be under no illusion, Barcelona have to pay extra when they come to Liverpool after Coutinho, because they were a disruptive force, and I don't think John W. Henry and Liverpool have forgotten that. So I would imagine if Barcelona came in for Diaz and we realistically value Diaz at 60 million, then the price to Barcelona is going to be 70 million. That's just the way it is. If Salah goes, we kind of need Mbappe. Huge loss. Look, of course, yeah, it's definitely a huge loss if Salah goes. You mean, you're losing a lot. You're losing experience. You're losing guaranteed goals and assists. You're losing a focal point of your attack. There's a lot, of course. And no one player, I think, will ever really be able to replace Mo. So, yeah, I don't disagree with you. It'd be a huge, huge loss. Would I consider João Felix at Liverpool? No, not now. I would have a year or two ago. But with the way we've redeveloped the midfield and attack, no. I don't see where he fits in if he played at Liverpool. I don't see, where we play him. He's not a striker. We don't use a second striker, really. So I don't see where he fits in. Your wife told me you're not packing, that's tough. Yeah, she's right. I'm not. But, say la vie, my friend. Say la vie. It is what it is. I'm not going to bite back anymore on that, to be honest with you. But whatever. If that's the best you've got for me, mate, then you need to up your trolling game a little bit there, my man. Thankfully, though, the humour and wallet are starting to make up for it, so I'm all good. Bro accepted defeat. No, I didn't. I'm just not going to let you bother me. No accepting defeat. I win. I'm the one with the following. I'm the one with the wife. You're a fake name on YouTube trying to bait somebody into having a conversation with you. I think I've won. What do I think of Lucho's form? I thought he was magnificent against Fulham. Absolutely phenomenally good. Like, if we get that every week from Lucho, we're absolutely flying. But consistency, I think, has been a problem for Lucho, and end product definitely feels like it's been a bit of a problem. But you seen him there last night, man. Him and Darwin were just everywhere, like just covering every blade of grass, and that Lucho's trouble for defences. Paul Buckless, thank you, mate, for joining Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate your support. Are you going to do a Super Bowl watch along? Nope. I'm watching the Super Bowl myself on the sofa, selfishly. Ismaila Sarr is available for 30 million euros. God almighty. There's a blast from the past. Yeah, his name has been... God. He was linked to Liverpool for a good few windows, Ismaila Sarr, wasn't he? I don't know if Watford priced him out of it at the time or whatever, but yeah, that's definitely a blast from the past. But no, in answer to the question, I wouldn't buy him, no. No more. If Liverpool add any players to the squad now, it's got to be, unbelievable quality. Like Michael Olise, MBAPPE, VINI Jr., I don't know who else in world football in an attacking perspective you could bring in, but not Ismaila Sarr. I mean, heads would explode. In a scenario where Mbappe comes and Salah goes, right wing position will still lack a proper winger. Mbappe himself prefers to start on the left. Lucho. Lash Lucho to the right. I don't understand this fascination the world has at the minute of inverted wingers. So, stick Lucho on the right, problem solved. Would I bring in Bowen if Salah stays? No. Once I see, you probably noticed I haven't mentioned Jared Bowen's name at all. Once I seen the 100 million price tag put on his head, I thought, nah, you can keep it. You're all right. That's just ridiculous. You're not baiting me into talking about Goldbridge either. Sorry, you're going to have to be better, trolls, to try and bait me into comments. If I want to talk about Mark Goldbridge, I'll talk about Mark Goldbridge when I want to talk about Mark Goldbridge, not when you want to bait me into something. I've got nothing to say about him because he's not in my life. So, ta-da! You're weird. I know people love YouTube beef, but I say something when I have something to say, and if I don't have something to say, I don't. So, I try to make a point of not talking about other people and just focusing on the good things in my life, which is my community and my chat, and letting the rest of the stuff be dealt with behind the scenes, as it has been. What's happening with Wirtz? Don't know. Not really seeing anything outside of a lot of talk that he'll end up at Bayern Munich. And I think that probably happens, in all honesty. Bayern like to bring in the best German players and keep them, not just in the Bundesliga, but like them at Bayern Munich. So if I guess, I'd think that's where he ends up if Leverkusen sell him. I'm kind of worried about Bayer Leverkusen, undefeated Bundesliga and Europa League. That's okay, Alan. We'll beat them. Don't worry about it. We got them. I've no fear of anybody in the Europa League for Liverpool. We are favourites for the competition for a reason, and we should win it. Not saying we will, but we should. That being said, I would prefer to play Leverkusen over 2 legs than the final. So, yeah, I think 2 legs, any team like that, whether it's City or Real Madrid, I always prefer 2 legs over 1, because 1 leg, anything can happen, man. Any one little thing and you're screwed. So, yeah, if we do get Leverkusen, I hope it's over 2 legs. Any Frimpong leaks? I don't think we need him if, and it's a big if, but if Bradley continues to develop, do we need him? I mean, I'd rather wait and see what happens with Conor Bradley for the remainder of the season, and again, what Klopp wants to do in Trent's position. Craig is the king. Yeah, you're right there. We don't need to read any more comment. That's the one. Wirtz or Mbappe? I mean, the answer is probably Mbappe, but there's a lot to admire about Florian Wirtz as well. Probably wanted a lot less wages. One sec, what's this? United Forever thinks I'm jealous of Brent's success. I'm not jealous of anyone's success, mate. I've said umpteen times, anybody who's earned money in life has earned it, and fair play to them. I am, promise you, of all the things that you might label me about with the whole Goldbridge thing, jealousy's never been any of it. I don't do jealousy. It's not something that is part of my makeup. I've said my say on it many times of why I dislike that person, and I promise you, man, jealousy's got nothing to do with it. If that was the case, then why wouldn't I be jealous about, I don't know, True Geordie or I don't know, pick a fucking another big YouTuber. It's got nothing to do with it, mate, and nothing could be further from the truth. And if you knew me as a person, you'd know it wouldn't even come into my thought process to be jealous of somebody. I want everyone in life to succeed and do well financially, especially people that work hard. But, I don't know what else to say. People are just fucking weird. Do you think if Bradley keeps on improving that we could see Trent in midfield? Absolutely. I think we see Trent in midfield in the summer full time probably. But right now, I like the role he's in. I like the hybrid role because we're getting the best of both worlds. Craig, the reason I think our fans don't like Vinny is because he cooks us. I don't know, man. Look, I love when Liverpool are linked with any of the top players in world football. You know, if your name's being linked with these guys, you know at least we're doing something right as a club. Do you remember the ref in the Chelsea versus Barcelona game? Nah, I don't, man. Sorry. Would I ever do Misfits boxing? I don't know, Danny. I've thought about it a little bit. I think would I do it? It would have to be a couple of things. That have to be right. I'd have to make sure that I'm able to dedicate enough time to get a bit more fit. You know, that would be thing number one. The money would have to be right. The opponent would have to be right. But would I do it? I'm at the tail end of considering yes. You know, age-wise, I'm at the far end of what I'd be able to rely on my body, you know? So, I think potentially, 5-6 years ago, 100%. Wouldn't have even been a question. But now, maybe. I think it'll be an experience that will be fun. And you know, we all like to challenge ourselves. And that's what I'd look at it is. I wouldn't really look at it as it's me versus other person. It's me versus me. That's the way I'd look at it. What else we got? Would love Gay. Any news on him? Just the article that came in from the Mirror that said Liverpool are looking to target Crystal Palace's Mark Gay in the summer. Jurgen Klopp continues to look at refreshing his squad. That's the only thing I'd really seen. The KSI stuff I find funny. Honestly. How do I say this without being disrespectful? So if it got to the point where I got down to the right weight, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'd go through them for a shortcut. It wouldn't even be a contest. And I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I'm just telling you it would happen. But, you know, there's many pounds, let's say, between me and that happening with regards to weight. So, no. But look, I just come across as arrogant if I say anything. So let's just say nothing, but it wouldn't last 2 or 3 rounds. Any of them. And any of these lads. Honestly, it wouldn't fucking last 2 or 3 rounds. Do I see Lee popping in the chat? How are we? People coming across from Mr. Gunner's channel. Lovely to see you guys. I hope you're all well. I don't know who he is. Someone said Chase the more. I don't know who any of these guys are, to be honest with you. Butterbean. Yes, Johnny, that is what your mother refers to me as. But, you know, our playtime is a little bit special, dude. As you well know, because, you know, when we're finished, she occasionally loves to go in and give you a little rub and, you know, let you know that you're mommy's special little soldier. But just think of me next time, dude. Anything on Kubo? Yes, there was actually some news on where was it? So this said Liverpool are very interested in signing Take Kubo. Real Madrid have a 50% sell-on clause and first refusal clause. So that's all I've seen around Take Kubo, to be fair. I'm new to the channel. I'm a Liverpool fan. What do you guys do on the channel? Discuss cross stitch patterns. We're big on maps, so talking about different points of the world and how the world sees the flat Earth is a huge topic on the channel here. Occasionally we talk a little bit of football, but not really. Kind of football just gets in the way of food talk. So, yeah, what else can you expect on Anfield Agenda? A lot of swearing. That usually happens. Sometimes I like to try and show people my socks, but that genuinely doesn't end too well for me. It ends up in me going down with cramp. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, dude. And you might think I'm taking the piss, but half of that stuff's actually true. Can you wish my dad a happy birthday? He's a season ticket holder in the COP and watch your videos religiously. Just paid for his membership on the channel as a present. Love the content, said Sam Buckless. Absolutely, dude. If it's your father's birthday, I wish him a wonderful birthday. And I very much appreciate your super chat. I very much appreciate the membership. I very much appreciate the support. And yeah, thank you so much. And many happy returns to your father. Thank you. Basically a food channel with the occasional football chat. Yeah, and a little bit of karaoke thrown in for good mix. Right, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. It's been an hour 45, but it's flown by, so thank you so much for another fun evening. To anyone that dropped in that was with us for the first time, great to have you guys. If we can hit the subscribe button before we head off, because I feel like we can make that number change in the top corner, because we're only 3 or 4 away. So if you haven't hit subscribe, please do before you head off. And we'll see if we can get to 239k. Until then, I'll see you guys at 6:15 tomorrow, which will be our next live stream. There will be a video going out at 4 o'clock tomorrow as well. And the preview for the Norwich game will be going out on Saturday, which will be my day off. So, yeah, tomorrow, top of the league, 7:30. Myself and Ben are going to be doing the Manchester City Spurs FA Cup game over there. You can find the link for top of the league in the description. But yeah, please do hit the sub button before you head off. I'd love to see that number turn over, because I've been waiting and we're so close. And again, don't forget to drop a like as well if you'd be so kind. And thank you for joining me this evening. You guys are awesome. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.